Question. In wolves, the allele for brown eyes is dominant to the allele for blue eyes. Also, the allele for gray coat is dominant to the allele for black coat. Determine the phenotypic ratio of the potential offspring of a blue-eyed gray wolf that had a black-coated mother and a wolf that was heterozygous for both traits. Now, there are 4 steps to solve this question. Step 1 is to determine the genotypes of the parents. Step 2 is to use Punnett squares to determine the gametes that each of the parents can produce. Step 3 is to use Punnett squares to determine the genotypes and phenotypes of the offspring. And step 4 is to determine the phenotypic ratio. Step 1. Determine the genotypes of the parents. Since gray coat is dominant to black coat, let allele for gray coat be capital G. So the allele for black coat will be lowercase g. Since brown eyes is dominant to blue eyes, let allele for brown eyes be capital B. So the allele for blue eyes will be lowercase b. Now the genotype of the blue-eyed gray wolf can either be this or this. The wolf is blue-eyed and blue is recessive. So the genotype will be double lowercase b. However, the coat of the wolf is gray and gray is dominant. So the genotype can either be uppercase G, lowercase g, or 2 uppercase G. Now the genotype of the mother for black coat is 2 lowercase g because black coat is recessive. Since the genotype of the mother is 2 lowercase g, the genotype of the blue-eyed gray wolf cannot be 2 lowercase b, 2 uppercase g, because it must receive an allele for black coat. So it must receive a lowercase g. Hence, the genotype of the blue-eyed gray wolf is 2 lowercase b, uppercase G, and a lowercase g. Step 2. Using Punnett squares, determine the gametes that each of the parents can produce. First, we need to determine the gametes for this parent. Now, this parent has only one type of allele for eye color, which is lowercase b. So we will place the lowercase b here. However, this parent has 2 different types of alleles for coat color. And the alleles are uppercase G and lowercase g. Now when we combine this allele and this allele, we have this gamete. And when we combine this allele and this allele, we have this gamete. So the different type of gametes that will be produced are a lowercase b, uppercase G, and a lowercase b and lowercase g. Now we need to determine the gametes for this parent. Now for eye color, this parent has 2 different type of alleles, a capital B and a lowercase b. And for coat color, it also has 2 different type of alleles, an uppercase G and a lowercase g. Now when we combine these alleles, we will have these different types of gametes. An uppercase B and an uppercase G, for example, will give us an uppercase B and an uppercase G gamete. Uppercase B and lowercase g will give us a uppercase B, lowercase g gamete. And lowercase b and uppercase g will give us a gamete of genotype lowercase b, uppercase g. And a lowercase b allele and a lowercase g allele will give us a gamete of genotype lowercase b, lowercase g. Step 3. Using the Punnett square, determine the genotypes and phenotypes of the offspring. In the previous step, we have determined the gametes for each of the parent. For one of the parent, we have 2 different types of gametes and they are placed here. And for the other parent, there were 4 different types of gametes and they are placed here. When we combine those gametes, we have different genotypes. For example, when we combine this gamete and this gamete, we have this genotype. Now, from the genotype, we can determine the phenotype. We need to remember that brown eyes is dominant to blue eyes and gray coat is dominant to black coat. So whenever a wolf has a capital B, it will have brown eyes, and whenever it has a capital G, it will have gray coat. So here we have a genotype capital B, lowercase b, and 2 capital G's. So the phenotype will be brown eyes and gray coat. Likewise, the phenotype for this and this will also be brown eyes and gray coat. Let us look at this genotype. There is no capital B, but we have a capital G. So the phenotype will be blue eyes and gray coat. Likewise, the phenotype of this genotype and this genotype will be blue eyes and gray coat. Now let us look at this genotype. It has 1 capital B but no capital G. So the phenotype will be brown eyes and black coat. Now this genotype has no capital B and no capital G. So the phenotype will be blue eyes and black coat. Step 4. Determine the phenotypic ratio. Now we have 3 brown eyes and gray coat, 3 blue eyes and gray coat, 1 brown eyes and black coat, and 1 blue eyes and black coat. So the phenotypic ratio of brown eyes and gray coat to brown eyes and black coat to blue eyes and gray coat to blue eyes and black coat is 3:1:3:1.